Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm sharing with you my standard red-green werewolf deck. Full deck list and pricing of each card will be in the description. It is mostly budget with the exception of 3 copies of Arlinn Kord, which can all be subbed for Ulrich of the Crawling Horde if you're looking to save money there. Without any further delay, let's get started. Start with creatures. First off, we have 2 Shrill Howler. This card is great because with some of the buffs in the deck, it can easily get around your opponent's creatures. And with a not so high transform cost, it can transform and start pumping out more creatures. Next up, we have 3 Conduit of Storms. This card is a good mid-game drop as it can help you ramp up to transform your other werewolves. And again, not a very high transform cost, so you can potentially get this the turn after you cast it. Next up, we have 4 Kessig Prowler. This card is a great turn 1 drop and is very aggressive, especially for green. With that transform cost, and then potentially turn 2, you can have a 4/4 with Waxing Moon. Next up, 4 Geier Reach Bandit. This card doesn't transform like the rest of the Eldrazi Wolves, but with its ability, on its flip side, it can flip them for free without having to pay their mana cost, and I think is a great addition in this deck. Next up we have 2 Tangleclaw Werewolf. This card may seem a little defensive for this deck. Once it flips and it's a 4/6 that can block multiple creatures, it's really good utility for the deck. Next up we have 2 Village Messenger. Again, this card's a really good early game drop, being a 1/1 with haste for only 1 mana, and transforming into a 2/2 with Menace. It gives both good early and late game. Next up, for Ulvenwald Captive. This card is a great turn 2 drop in this deck, since so many of the cards flip with mana triggers. It does have Defender, which isn't a nice plus, but when it transforms, it's a 4/6 that can tap for 2 mana. Moving on, let's look at non-creature spells. First up, we have 3 copies of the Planeswalker Arlinn Kord, and as I said in the intro, this card can be subbed for Ulrich of the Crawling Horde if you're looking to save money. But this card is great because it can buff your creatures while pumping out more, and on its flip side can grant a mini overrun to all of your creatures. Next up we have 3 Moonlight Hunt. This card is fantastic removal, and I have another one in Sideboard because it can take out almost any creature on the board if you have enough werewolves. Next up we have Howlpack Resurgence, and again this card's another great add since it has Flash and gives all your wolves and werewolves +1/+1 and trample, so it makes for great combat tricks. Next up we have 3 copies of Blooming Defense. I used to have Titan Strength before that rotated out, but I like this card better because it gives your creatures hexproof, so that can not only target your creatures, but if your opponent is trying to target one of theirs with an enchantment, you can prevent them from doing that by giving it hexproof, so that works out nicely as well. Next up we have Waxing Moon. This card is a 4-of in this deck, since so many of the werewolves flip with mana. Instead of having to ramp up to that, you can just flip them for 2 mana basically. For lands we run 2 Game Trail. I would run 4, but all I had was 2 and I'm trying to keep the deck budget. And then we have 11 forests and 10 mountains for the mana base. Moving on to the sideboard, we have tokens. So we start with 3 Silverfur Partisans, which this card is good because you can sub it in if your opponent is targeting your creatures with lots of spells. So you can kind of get a bonus off of that if they're like pinging lots of things. Next up we have Smoldering Werewolf. If your opponent is running smaller creatures like elves or something, you can take out a couple of them when this creature enters the battlefield, and then when it flips, it again deals more damage, so that's a nice add. Next up we have Root Out. It's cheap artifact and enchantment removal, along with giving you card draw if you need it. I really like this Clip Wings, since not only can it remove cards like Avacyn and stuff, but it can also get rid of new flagship card, Sky Sovereign. If your opponent turns that from a vehicle into a creature, then you can remove that on their turn. Collective Defiance, this card's just really good utility. For 3 mana, being able to do any of these things and doing more by paying extra mana. I just like that, it's really a versatile card. Next up we have another Moonlight Hunt, just in case you need extra removal. That's a great card to sub in. And lastly, we have 2 Spirit of the Hunt for cards like Convergent Flames. that can deal damage to all your creatures, basically damage board wipes instead of like planar cleansing. It's great flashing in if your opponents are swinging with big creatures. And that's my deck. Hoping it does pretty well at game day. Went 1 and 2 last time, but I made some edits since then with some new cards. As I said, the full deck list and the pricing of each card will be in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and until next time.